Welcome back to episode 2 of The Mark and the Shark. Today, we're going to be doing the Smackdown roster. And would you like to start it off, my friend?
Uh, let's see here.
Alba Fire.
Let's see what to say. I really don't know what to say about her.
Oh, all right. Well, that explains the long pause. All right. So you're just going to say pending on that one?
Pending.
Okay. For me, I'll give her in-ring work about a 3-star, I guess. And then as far as mic skills, she has a lot to work on, I would say, in that department, for me at least. I'm not going to give her a high rating, maybe 1.5 stars, just considering who's all on this list. And then charisma, she'll get a 3-star because she's still in it. Her partner got released, but she's still here, and that's got to be for a reason. So, all right, and I'll sum it up on that one. She is a part of the Secret Service with Piper Niven and, of course, Chelsea Green, and that's really cool. I like that whole storyline, so that's a positive for me. And then I guess we can move on to Aleister Black. And I'll let you start on him.
Aleister Black. He's one of those guys. He's been around a while. I like him. I would probably give him maybe about a 3 for his in-ring. He is pretty solid. I think he is pretty charismatic myself. I like him. It's just hard to figure out what to do with him. I'm trying to think of who would be a best example. He almost kind of reminds me in a way of Al Snow. You don't know what to do with him. It's just the right kind of angle. What do you do with the guy? I mean, there is something there. He's definitely a diamond in the rough. And, I think if they let him show more of himself, I think he can go really far.
Fair enough. And what do you give him on the rating scale?
I'd say probably maybe about 3.5 across everything. Maybe a solid 3.
Oh, wow. A solid 3 across everything.
Yeah.
Huh? All right. So I guess on this one, what I'm going to have to give him is I'll give him a 3 in ring. I will give him a 2 in mic skills. I'll be honest, I've never really been a huge fan of Aleister Black or Malachi Black. Wherever he's been, I haven't been a great big fan of him. But everyone's entitled to their opinion, so it's not like, I'm anything against the guy. But I will give him a 4 on charisma, you know what I mean? Just because he is backing, you know what I mean? Like he's gone, from the WWE to AEW and back to WWE, and the fans want to see him, and the fans are excited to see him. Just because I'm one of the people who's not, I can't not acknowledge that he is, you know what I mean? Just to be fair to the guy, I guess. I guess I don't like his, the Black Mass is a cool finisher. I'll give him that, but I mean, I just don't, I don't feel it when he's in the ring, and I hate to say that.
It's like, in some ways, he kind of is like the 21st century X-Pac. To a certain extent.
I was going to say, I really enjoyed watching X-Pac.
Yeah. But I mean, people's reactions to him is what I'm referring to.
Yes.
It's there's definitely one or the other camp when it comes to somebody like Aleister Black. It really is.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm in the other camp, but that's fine with me. And would you like to head on to one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley?
Alex Shelley, the guy's been around a very long time. A long time. I remember watching him back in his days of TNA Really solid talent. Um, they just kind of seem lost in the shuffle there in the company. At least from what I've seen, I definitely, as in terms of a tag team, I'd give them probably about a three, maybe four in ring. I've always been a fan of his mic work myself, personally. Four on the mic, and I'd give him probably about a four on the charisma. Personally, I've been a long time Alex Shelley fan myself.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and get in the ratings, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. So his in ring, I have to give him at least a 4.5 to a 5, simply because of how the tag team whole division has changed so much, just due to his, to how him and his partner have created these moves that haven't been seen, and etc. His mic skills, I'll go ahead and give him a 4.5 because he's always good. Him and his partner both. It's kind of like they're both going to get a good grade. Charisma, I mean, how can you not give the guy 5 stars? He's been around for 20 years, and people who've been around that long and then finally get to the WWE. People were really happy to see that. And I was happy to see it, and I'm glad that they got the gold for a little bit. It was like a nice treat. It's like, hey, thanks for everything you've done. Here we are, and here you are. Enjoy.
That's the thing that surprised me is that it took them as long as it did to get to the WWE. These are guys who should have been there 10, 12, 15 years ago. Especially in their prime. But for them, it's still amazing. They're still in great shape. They still know what they're doing. And hopefully we'll get to see more of the tag team division in the future.
Oh, yeah, and we definitely will. I'm sure of it. And you want to head over to Alexa Bliss.
I have to be honest, I've never really been a big fan of Miss Bliss. I don't know what it is about her that really just doesn't appeal to me. I know the whole they had her with the Wyatt, with Bray Wyatt at the time for a while. I know it's supposed to be, I guess, some stuff with the Wyatt Six and everything. I'd honestly probably give her in-ring work maybe about a 3. Her probably her mic work, again, never been a big fan. I'll give her about a 2. And for me, her charisma maybe about a 3. Again, like I said, just I've never really been a she's never really moved the needle for me, to be perfectly honest.
And that is a fair assessment. And then we'll move on to Andrade. And what do you got to say about Andrade?
Don't really have much to say about him. He's somebody I need to look into more too.
Really, you haven't seen much of him, huh?
Not at least in WWE.
Okay, all right. Well, you can still rate him, based on him as a wrestler instead of just in WWE.
Well, Andrade, he was just another kind of person for me. Just there. It's just. I just. He's just kind of middle of the road for me personally. Just he's there. Again, just somebody that I've never really personally been, impressed with.
All right. Well, that's fair. Um, Man, then this is really gonna really gonna chirp you out. So if I'm gonna start off with Andrade, I'll in his in ring work, I'm gonna have to give him a 4.5 star. I think he's an amazing wrestler. I do understand Spanish, so I will say that his promos, I could give him at least a 3.5 to a 4 star easily. Just because I understand he's better with his Spanish promos than he is with his English. And then charisma. I mean, you hear that pop when he comes out. That mask on, people are cheering. When he takes a mask off, they cheer again, even louder. Um, and that's not something like traditional lucha either. So that's something he's like unique with. So I gotta give him 4.5 star. Um, on charisma. Yeah, I'll actually bump him up to a 5 star because I really like Andrade. And then I think we can go. Oh yeah, and just to give a shout out to the feud that he had with Carmelo, the best of 7 feud. That wasn't bad actually. It was a kind of hard to digest Carmelo for me at first. But through his feud with Andrade is what really sealed the deal with me on him as a performer. So shout out to Andrade for giving him the rub to me. And now we're over to Angel Garza.
And what do you think of Mr. Garza?
One of my favorite tag teams is Los Garza. I can't say anything better. I do wish that his picture here had him with the AAA tag team champion that he won in in the Regida show. I forgot which one it was, but yeah, he won the championship with his brother in a tag team match in AAA in one of their little pay-per-views, and it was amazing. I watched the pay-per-view, and that was one of my favorite matches. His in-ring is kind of a mix between I would say a good American wrestling and then really good lucha libre, but he wrestles more in the American style here in WWE, which doesn't showcase how good of a wrestler he is, but they let him and his brother fly a little higher than they let other people. So, his in-ring, I got to give him probably... it's hard to say 3.5 to me because I want to give him like a 4.5, but he's limited so much in the WWE with what he can do. Just out of they don't want him getting himself hurt in case of a accident, because accidents happen. High risk, high reward. They don't want to take him high risk, so I'll keep it at then just a 4. I'll meet myself in the middle. His mic skills, I'll give him a 3. Or a 3.5 rather. He's really good on the mic. They don't give him a lot of time to talk because Santos usually talks for the group. But when he does speak, people want to hear him, and he speaks really good Spanish and he speaks really good English. I heard an interview with him in Spanish, and that was really cool. I mean, obviously, he's from Mexico, so he does speak a lot of Spanish, but it was just awesome to see that. And in his charisma, I'll give him and his brother deserve a 4-star at minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good. I really enjoy them. Along with another tag team between Los Garza and Pretty Deadly, they're probably my favorite tag teams on this roster.
What I have seen of Los Garza, they are really good. They are very impressive for what today, and the stuff I've seen of Angel. He really is very talented, the fans get behind him. He's young, he's energetic, he definitely has a future. He really does.
And when you give him on ratings?
I honestly give him about a 4 across the board.
4 across the board?
Yeah.
All right, and then that'll move us over to
Mr. Dawkins.
One half of our Smackdown Tag Team Champions.
The Street Profits, if I remember correctly.
Yes, they want the smoke. And you want to start this one off, bud?
I'll let you start him off.
I will give him a 3.5 all the way across the board. I think that his title run right now is well deserved. I think he's been at it for a long time, and he's substantially better than he was when he first came in. a while ago they were talking about splitting up the group, and I'm not sure if that was just stupid internet gossip that anyone was paying attention to, or if that was really something. But either way, ever since then, I started noticing that he, stepped his game up, and I like that. He's got more intensity. I mean, they kind of changed the group around a little bit. They got a little more serious, and I think that was really good for the group, and it was really good for Angelo Dawkins. And that's really all I got to say about the guy. I mean, I'm happy that he's champion. Although I like I would really love to see Angel Garza with the double championship with the SmackDown and the AAA. That'd be cool to see.
You never know. But I agree with you on Angelo. He has definitely put his time in. He's been there a while. He seems really well liked by many people in the company as well, backstage from what I've read. So that's definitely a benefit for him, and they've earned it. He's really earned it, so that's good for him. And Apollo Crews, another one, just I I'm not gonna BS you. Just a lot of these people I haven't had time to view. But what I've seen Apollo Crews over the years. Um, on the mic, I'd probably give him maybe about a 3. Um, just another big muscular guy, kind of mid range. I give his in ring work maybe about 2 or 3. Just for myself, maybe charisma about a 3.
All right, I can respect it. Um, I was gonna say I'll start off with his in ring. I'll say he's about like a 3.5 to a 4. Um, he's really, really good in the ring. I mean, there's some people that, he's kind of there just to, he's almost kind of, I don't want to say X-Pac because that, but a long time ago, X-Pac used to be the measuring stick. If you can't have a good match with him, then you can't have a good match at all. And Apollo Crews is kind of that guy where it's like, all right, if you can have a good match with Apollo Crews, then then we'll accept you. Um, so that's how I feel about it. I think his mic skills, I think he's like a 1, and that's what makes him where he's not featured a lot. But I will give him a charisma, I guess, a 3.5, because he is very charismatic. That's why he's been there not so long. Also because he is a good wrestler. And then that will bring us on to the next one, which is Axiom, who just came up from NXT not too long ago. And I can only imagine that you don't have much to say about this guy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Because I know you haven't seen much of him, but I will tell you I'll go ahead and give him a pending on this one for me as well. Just, but I will say he's a really good wrestler. He's from Spain, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Actually, you know what? I could take a look. Maybe it'll say in his bio. Nope, it doesn't say. But I would like to believe that I am somewhere close. Oh, yeah. And that doesn't even show. All right. And so that brings us on to B-Fab. What do you think about B-Fab?
B-Fab, I actually personally have always liked her myself. I would say her in-ring work is maybe about a 3 for me personally. I've always liked her on the mic myself. I'd give her about a 4. And I like her charisma. I personally give her about a 4. Just something about her. She puts in the work. I mean, I know she's not the most popular, but she's there. She knows what she's doing. And I personally like her.
All right, and then I will say her in ring is probably I would give her maybe 1.5 to 2 right now, simply because I know she is gonna get better. You know, she's still kind of working her way around. You know, I mean, most people, you know, they grind their teeth here for 5 6 years before they really start honing who they are as a wrestler and what their style is, instead of just trying to do move. They figure out how they wrestle. So she's in between that period, so it's not like it's not going to get better. So I'm not giving it just a bad score and saying that's what she's at. I'm just saying that right now, she's working on it, and I mean, not in a negative way, I mean, she's getting better, and that's good. I like BFAB. Her mic skills, I will kind of say, like, her vernacular and the way she talks, I'm not a great fan of that. So, I'll give it a 1. Just, and that's a personal thing. I'm not trying to be critical.
Oh yeah.
But that's just me personally. I will say that she's probably got about 3.5 to 4 stars of charisma, though. She's made it to the main roster when a lot of other girls still are down there. Like, I mean, like, I think that BFAB is good, and she's only going to get better. And right now it's actually pretty cool where she's at with the Street Profits. Like, I couldn't imagine her with another group, and I'm glad that being in that group actually keeps her, around and on the show.
Active and on TV, yeah.
Yeah, because, with everybody else that we got going on the women's roster here in SmackDown, she wouldn't be getting much TV time, I'll say that. And it's not like she is right now anyway.
Yeah.
And then that brings us on to the other one half of the AAA champions, Berto.
Haven't seen much of him.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna give him the same score as I gave his brother Angel. It would be really cool to see them as the WWE champions and the AAA champions. And I mean, hell, they're doing work with TNA. Let's make them triple champs. I mean, let's go all in with it. You could do so much with that, and that would be really cool if they did it with that tag team, because Los Garza has been at it for a long time, and they could definitely deserve it. Or, I couldn't really see many other tag teams doing it that really, really honestly deserve it.
Having that kind of modern Steiner era of holding multiple belts at the same time from different organizations.
I mean, if there was, say, Angel Humberto, they do get all 3 of those titles, then you could build up to a pay-per-view where now you got the best team of TNA, the best team of
AAA, and the best team in WWE.
Yeah, exactly, and have it like a fatal 4-way tag team match. Like, that would be insane, all the things that you could do. Because obviously, like, say that, there's not, because they're on the Smackdown roster, right? So they could actually make it a 4 tag team belt and put the Raw roster Raw titles in the mix with them, and then unify those if they really wanted to do that. Because then they could, I mean, and this is me being stupid right now, but I will say they could unify those 2 titles, but then they could also carry the Raw and the SmackDown and the United titles with the TNA and the NXT, so that they could have a total of 5 belts. You know what I'm saying? Because then that would be a way to kind of get it to the point where they could say, well, the Raw Tag Team Championship must be defended on Raw, and then if they lost it, they could say, well, we're still the then they could just retire the Unified. Actually, I think I made it too complicated. Either way. But that would be cool to see, though, because even if you take the Raw out of it and you just had a 3-way tag team match, one from each company, because like you could work it into a different storyline to where like so the two best wrestlers in um in TNA
Yeah.
now form a tag team, you know, and then the two best wrestlers, you know, in AAA now form a tag team. So, or it could just be the best tag team, and then you could even instead of saying Raw, what if you tossed NXT into there? You know what I mean? Um, you know, so I mean that just brings a whole nother thing to it, and I think we've spent enough time on my dumb idea. You ready? Let's. I'll let you start off with
Miss
Bianca
Bianca
Belair.
Belair, multi-time champion, just very impressive in the ring. Just she's somebody I just watching her progress over the years. I mean, when I first watched her, when I first seen her, God, what 7, 8 years ago, and just seeing her to where she is now, she is definitely much better on the mic. I mean, her matches with Rhea Ripley, her matches with Io Sky, just where to begin with this woman? She is there's a reason why she is where she is at in the company. I mean, to me, she is one of those women. I first of all, right off the bat, I have to give her all fives across the board personally, just for myself. She can do it all. She really can do it all, and she can do the heel. She can do the baby face. She can get the fans behind her. She can, get them to cheer against her, root against her. She can get them to cheer for her. Um, she really is, to me, she's one of the handful of talents like a Rhea Ripley, a Charlotte Flair, and at this point, even in Io Sky, that they're bigger than the belt. To me, they don't even need a championship. That's how big they are. That's how, to me, personally, that's how big she is. She doesn't even need a title anymore. She's that on that level.
All right. um, so here's what I'm gonna say for Bianca Belair: in ring 5, mic skills 5, charisma 5. You can't say the best without EST. That is actually more than half of the word. That's 3/4 of the word. You can't spell WrestleMania without EST. There's so many different things that you cannot spell without the EST. Like greatest, which she will be one of. That's really all I can say about her. I really like her theme song too.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I love her entrance, especially her WrestleMania ones. They're always just so impressive. I mean, it's just it. I will stop doing every time I hear her being on TV. I will stop what I'm doing. She's one of those people that I will sit down. It's like, oh, cool, a Bianca Belair match, and that's what just what she does for me. I have to see her every time she's out there. So that's just the appeal for me, and she is one of the reasons I'm still a fan of wrestling. She really is. She really is.
Man, yeah, the EST of WWE. You know, I mean, hey, isn't she like undefeated at WrestleMania? I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look it up.
I think she actually did lose at WrestleMania before. I think it might have been a tag team or something. I know they talked about that actually at WrestleMania.
Interesting. We'll have to go look at that later. Byron Saxton, he's not a wrestler, so we're not going to do it. But I will say thumbs up because I don't mind his segments.
Candice LeRae. Honestly, for me, I give her about a 2 across everything. Not really. It's just she's there.
All right. Well, if that's all you have to say, then I'll make mine short and sweet because I don't like expanding on negative opinions. So I'm gonna give her 0.5 all across the board and just a half star. And then I'll just leave it at that. I guess is gonna be the nicest way to go about
Yeah,
it.
and that's being honest. I was just trying to be nice and generous. That's what I mean by she's there. I don't know really what else to say. I just
I mean, it's almost unfair of me. Well, I mean, not really, because I'm not the only person who doesn't like her. It's pretty much widely expressed by most people. The only reason she's there is because she's the wife of another wrestler that Triple H really likes. That is what it comes down
And
to, basically.
it's probably the truth. I mean,
Well, I couldn't tell you that, just so I'm not, just turning the internet IWC wheels. But I'd sure believe it, you know what I mean? But what I will say is that her partner, Indy Hartwell, uh, really could be doing a lot on this roster right now. So, maybe I, hold a little bit of that for it. But that's where I'm just going to leave it for her, unless you have any ending
nope.
comments. I'm going to head on over to him, which would be Carmelo Hayes.
And what do you think of Mr. Hayes?
You know what, dude? I think Carmelo Hayes is really awesome. His in-ring, I'm going to put it at a 4 right now. Even though you could probably say it's higher than that, I'm only putting it at a 4 because it's only going to get better as he gets older and learns how to
Yes.
to really, really build up the crowd before he does those crazy moves. And his mic skills, I will say that even though the vernacular that he uses, I'm not very popular of, I'll still give him a 4.5 because, he man, I'll just go on to the charisma part and I'll give him a 4.5 star in that. The Miz gave him an Andre the Giant chain, and he's been wearing that around. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of jewelry, but I do like that because now that they're saying, we're going to do it for Andre, and I really appreciate that, because Andre the Giant is awesome. Like he when you think about wrestling in WWE, you think Andre. A lot of people, fuck Hulk Hogan. I didn't mean to say it like that, but
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like Carmelo. I really think the sky is the limit with this kid. He definitely has a bright future. He's definitely going to get better in time, too, not only in the ring. I agree with you on the vernacular. I think he can change it some, to be more appropriate. And he definitely has a lot of charisma. The fans love him. Seems like from what I've read, people backstage also really are high on the guy as well. So we'll see what the future has in store for him.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun watching Carmelo Hayes. Grow and progress is gonna be awesome. Like he's gonna be one of those people that, I mean, hey, a lot of people started off as a heel, and then you heel for so long, man, people start to love you. I don't want to say like Dominic Mysterio because he changed really quick, but that's because he already had a lot of steam behind him. Carmelo Hayes used to be looked at as like Trick's little sidekick, but now ever since Trick's been doing that, now ever since Joe Hendry busted that promo on him, now that actually gained Carmelo Hayes a lot of respect because it's like, yeah, because he actually got up to the main roster and you're still here. So, inadvertently, that actually kind of boosted him a lot, and he's been going with The Miz, and, I don't want to say Carmelo Hayes. He had his own credibility already before. But being with The Miz gave him just a tiny bit more.
It really helped. I think it
definitely did.
Well, I think, Miz's experience outside of the ring as well as in the ring, I really think, he took the kid aside and really took him under his wing and really helped him. I see Miz being that kind of guy to help, like, the young talent.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see The Miz taking him to the side and saying, like here, I remember when I was, a young, person in the WWE, and I was trying new things and trying to figure out who I was. You just got to stick with it, keep on it, the I'm him thing. Like he is stuck on that so much, and I wouldn't be surprised if The Miz was like, yeah, dude, you got to stick with it because I just kept saying awesome, 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 awesome. And now when people think about The Miz, they think awesome, And then when they think about you, they're gonna think, you're him. You just got to stick with it. And people are, maybe the Miz could give them that inspiration to say, hey man, people hated me for years, dude, but now
Yeah,
I'm,
people love
I'm
him.
submitted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People when Miz is there, he gets a big pop. Many people. I was like that. It took me a long time, and I became a Miz fan
The Miz
myself,
will be famous for a very, very long time.
and rightfully so. He's earned it.
Oh yeah, and now I guess we'll move on to
The
the
Queen,
biggest nepo baby of them all.
Charlotte Flair. I I'll be honest. I kind of have a love hate relationship with her. I mean, she is incredible in the ring. I will definitely give her that. Um, Honestly, probably my favorite match of hers personally is the match that she had with Rhea Ripley back at WrestleMania a few years ago. It really showed that she helped elevate Ripley up to that status. Um, to me, her ego. There is just something about her that has been a turnoff. I mean, I'll give credit where credit is due. I will give her, fives across the board personally. I think she really is good in the ring. Well, honestly, I think her in ring work personally for me is about a four. I'm not going to lie. I think it's been about a four. I will definitely. I think her mic work has been a five, and I think her charisma has definitely been a five. But again, it's just I've always it's I think there's that also nepotism thing that has come into play with trying to get her numerous title reigns to match her dad's. Um, but she's had a long career. You know, uh, it's just like I said. I'll give her credit where credit is, but as in terms of her as a person, really mixed feelings about Charlotte Flair.
Well, if it's my turn to go, I will say I'll just give her fives all across the board. I'm not going to act like I'm the biggest Charlotte Flair fan. I will say that this picture that they have on the website isn't that.
It's not flattering.
Well, I don't want to say it's not flattering because Charlotte Flair is completely awesome. She's very beautiful and all that. Da 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 da. I'm not trying to like body shame when I say it. She has had cooler looks. Just the white and the black and then the blue. I think she has much cooler outfits that she has and different eyeliner styles that I think this just wasn't the best picture that they could have used for her. Like B-Fab's picture looks cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like B-Fab's like looking at you like I'm ready to wrestle. You know what I mean? So I'm just not like body shame or anything like that. It's just I think Charlotte Flair has much more cool looks that this one I just was like, hey man, that was kind of lame. But yeah, Charlotte Flair's awesome. Like I said, not the biggest fan. Like when she just came back and she was going against Tiffy, she's can definitely tell she's not really used to being a heel and people booing her and stuff because she is so cool. Like the part of it when you were talking about her ego and stuff, I really side with her on that because she is the best and she knows it. So why beat around the bush? I'm the best. I know it. So let me get down straight to the point. I'm gonna out wrestle you in 20 different ways in 20 different 20 different seconds, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it because I am the best. And she exudes it. I will say there are a lot of matches that she has that I want her to lose, but there are also a lot of matches I want her to win, and I'm glad she's not champion right now because I do really like it's Tiffy time on my watch still. It's going to be Tiffy time on my watch for a long time. I'm not sure if I want anyone to take it away, but if I do, it will be the next person. And I'm ready to move on if you are.
All right.
And that next person is Chelsea Green. I would love to see Chelsea Green hold the actual women's title. Go ahead and take it off at Tiffy time because Chelsea Green. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and give her fives all across the board. If you really think she's not five in ring, go watch the match that she had in Lucha Underground.
She
with
can wrestle her
Pentagon.
ass off.
Watch other matches that she had in Independence. Watch matches she had in TNA. Watch matches she had. You know what? She's actually had a few, to steal Sheamus's phrases, she's had a couple bangers in WWE too, you know? So, and in ring, like I said, all fives across the board, but that charisma, man, I love Chelsea Green. And that, her mic skills, no matter what she's playing, she plays it to the maximum. And I like it. It's funny. And I really enjoy her as a performer and as a wrestler. And she is actually so good of a wrestler. It's funny because, like, even some of the best women wrestlers cannot keep up with how good a Chelsea Green is as a wrestler. So she has to slow it down and do less than she's actually capable of because the other girls wouldn't be able
She's
to
too
do
experienced.
it. Exactly.
She really is in a league of her own in the WWE. There truly are very few women that can keep pace with Chelsea Green. There are really very few women. And I mean, she's just leagues above. I mean, not only in the ring, but just amazing charisma, amazing on the mic. Just, she really is, she's fives across the board. I love watching her matches. And that's a problem, but it's a good problem to have. I mean, do you take it off of Tiffany Stratton? Do you put it on Chelsea Green? That's kind of a good problem in a good way to have because you have Chelsea Green who can carry the title just as well too. You know, so it's a benefit for them. It really is. It's a benefit. And you know, I love watching her matches. She really is impressive. She is.
Yeah, and she's kind of trapped in the United States title right now. And she kind of almost has to be because that gives Piper Niven and Alba Fire a spot for right now.
Plus, it helps her elevate the title too.
Yes.
You know, it to me with her holding the belt, it makes it look more of a legitimate title. You know, when the people that she has gone up against that she's wrestled, you know, it to me it elevates the belt as well. Not only her as a talent, but it elevates the title too.
Yeah, she was a really good pick to have it. And then if we're good on Chelsea Green, we can move on over to the other half of the Motor City Machine Guns. And I will give him the same exact that I gave Alex. Yeah, the same score and everything. Everything that I said about him, the exact same.
Hell Sabin, baby.
You know,
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, this guy, you know, helped help transform the entire tag team industry as a whole about 15, 16, 17 years ago. You know,
those
just
guys built TNA.
His...
They really were the foundation of the tag teams. Them and America's Most Wanted, Bear Money. You know, just some of the legendary tag teams that were there, and I've always loved Chris Sabin's work. The guy is just freaking impressive. Like, you know, just tag team work, just even singles matches. Just the man really is a ring general. He really is. He knows what he's doing out there in the ring. You know, he's somebody that if I were a wrestler, I'd love to get in the ring with him because he's safe. He knows what he's doing. You know, that experience shows. You know, it took him long enough. And again, it's that situation of what took them so long to get to the WWE. Those are guys who should have been there a long time ago. But I'm finally happy to see them there.
Yeah, it's always awesome watching their matches because you know, you can tell that they put a lot of heart into it, man. You know, like they really care about having a good match, and they care about leaving the audiences satisfied, you know, and that they, you know, that when you buy a ticket and you go see the Motor City Machine Guns, you are getting, regardless of the other matches, you are getting your money's worth, and that's, you know, that's good, and they take a lot of pride in that, you know. I mean, there's a lot of tag teams that have gone through less BS as far as politically and contract wise and everything like that, especially in the beginning of their tag team. But they stuck it out together. A lot of people would just break up and go their own ways.
That's what I admire about them.
Especially with as good as they both are to be singles wrestlers. They probably could have made it as singles wrestlers, but they didn't. They stuck together, and one of the best tag teams. Goated.
I'd love to see them, and there needs to be more competition in the tag teams. So, I'm hoping that WWE begins to solidify that base so we can have the tag team. Personally, one of my favorite eras was the tag team of the 1980s. You had the British Bulldogs, you had the Hart Foundation, you had Demolition, you had the Road Warriors coming in later. You had all these great tag teams, the Steiner Brothers, So I'm hoping that we have a revival so we can see more tag teams, come up and start to see that recognition again.
And I guess that'll bring us on to Cody Rhodes. Ever since I saw the profile picture, his theme song has been stuck in my head. I'm going to give this man nothing but fives across the board. I've been a huge fan of him for a very long time. See, it sucks because I know I went on and on and on about fucking Chelsea Green and stuff, but now that I'm at Cody Rhodes, there's just too much to go on. I have to leave it at he's fives, and I think he's amazing. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, and I really like his theme song as well, and that's where I'm going to leave it as. I think he's one of the best wrestlers still. A lot of people would say that he was one of the best wrestlers a couple years ago, and then maybe even a couple years before that. But I think he is still one of the best wrestlers and has been. I don't ever think he wasn't, So that's where I'll put it. I can't heap enough praise upon him, so I'll just have to stop there.
His journey from the time I remember watching him first come into the WWE during his first run has been really amazing to see the transformation. I forgot the name of the stable. I think he had come in with, I think it was Ted DiBiase Jr. and somebody else that they had come in as the stable of second or third generation wrestlers.
Randy Orton, Legacy.
And then, Legacy, thank you. And then you saw that kind of dissolve apart. Then you started seeing the dashing Cody Rhodes things, seeing him kind of trying to find himself. Then the Stardust gimmick, which, God bless the poor guy. He tried to do it as best as he could. We know the story of him talking to Triple H and Vince. I think I can make something more of myself. They had no faith in him. Goes to AEW, And I think that's where the Cody Rhodes of today really began to build that foundation. It really was I guess you could say to me, AEW was his sounding board. And it seemed the more that they rooted against him, in some ways you knew it was going to work. It seemed just predestined for him to go back to WWE. And it really seemed okay, I found myself, I know who I am, I've refined this, and he went back and it just, boom, it worked. It took off, and it's just seeing him become that main eventer. Fives all across the board for the guy. The son of one of the greatest minds, the brother of one of the greatest wrestlers out there as well, still living, Dustin Rhodes. A family of tradition, history. How can you not love the guy? He's a very positive person. He is a role model. He gets the business, and I think that's what a lot of the people out there, kind of don't understand. It's this is a guy who grew up in it. He knows how to. He, to me, is one of the few people that actually knows how to tell a story in the ring, which is really sorely lacking with a lot of people nowadays. Nowadays, it's about moves, it seems. Cody is a throwback that he uses his body, his facials to emote, to express himself. He's really just a great person and a great talent to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's what can you say? I mean, it's pretty much. Now, I don't want to say it's been decided or anything like that, because I'm not, you know, I don't work there or anything. But I mean, everyone pretty much believes that by the time John Cena is done, it's going to be Cody holding the belt again. I mean, that's pretty much the general consensus. Um, so I mean, that's where I'm at with that. And then I guess we will move on to uh, Damian Priest.
Damian Priest, he really has come a long way, especially in the last few years. I mean, at least for myself, I wasn't really, to be perfectly honest, back before Judgment Day. I really wasn't, really hadn't paid much attention to Priest. Really wasn't a big Priest fan. Just watching him, I really think over the last few years, I honestly would probably give his in-ring work maybe about a 3.5, 4. Personally, I have seen some growth in there. I have definitely seen a lot of growth as in terms of what he's done on the mic, as in terms of his mic skills. I'd probably give him about a 4.5, up there in that area, maybe even a 5. Definitely has a lot of charisma. There's been kind of some shaky ground lately with what they've been doing with him. But overall, I think he's a pretty solid guy. I like him. You know, I find him to be pretty solid. I've become a Priest fan.
I'm gonna have to give this guy 4.5 stars all across the board, because I mean, it's not in the old days where if you're in your late 20s, your career is almost over. You know what I mean? Like, you can wrestle well into your 40s if you take care of yourself. And I don't know how old Damian Priest is, but he can't be near his 40s yet. He's probably still got another decade or more to get there, I think. I would, just looking at him, I imagine he's like 28 or 29. I could be wrong about that.
I believe he's 42, actually.
All right, well, you know what? I'll take back everything I just said.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's 42.
Well, we're going to have to fact check this one.
I could be wrong.
Oh, wow. You are dead on the
Yeah,
money.
42.
42. All right, well, never mind. I take that back. Well, either way, I still think, he still can I still think he can squeeze another half a star out, I really do enjoy watching Damian Priest a lot. Man, he's 42. That's it. Man,
He's
that
been
threw me
wrestling a
off.
long time. I guess he had been on the Indies for a number of years, is what it was.
The Punisher or something like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't
I think it
remember.
was like, I believe he started like in the Indies in his mid 20s. I mean, Priest, that's what I admire about him. He's definitely put in the grind. He's earned his spot. The man really has. He stayed dedicated, and he's earned it. And I think that's reading about his story and watching him and just like becoming a fan, spending the time watching him over the last few years on TV, seeing that change, that transformation. It's like, yeah, this guy, and then finding out his age, it's just like, wow, it's just it's mind blowing, and I find it to really be such an amazing and positive story.
Oh man, it is, man. Uh, yeah, and like on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, they have like these WWE channels where like there's kind of like in the NBA where they go around in the backstage and they'll ask him like random questions and stuff. And he's been on a few of those, and it lets it know more about like his personal life and stuff. And those are all pretty cool. And then now is where we'll go down here.